would you say if I said that I could bring them back?
I guess I'd say I never thought of that.
Well, alright, hold tight, you might wanna stand back, because one small John is coming intact.
St. John forward, spitting out some more words, fully intact, jacked, ready to rap and attack. Small John on your lawn, living like a gnome, hit you with my lyrics like a bullet to your dome.
Tonight when he comes up here, he's either gonna kill or he's gonna suck. But there's no in between for Mr. John Forward.
Welcome back, me. Took a break last week for the Fundy Fringe Festival. Big Tease was going on Monday night. We'll get back to that in a little while, but first point of news. Anyway, this is St. John Forward Radio, by the way. I'm John Forward. I assume that everybody listening to this is a crazy John Forward fan who has listened to every episode, available at johnforward.podbean.com. But anyway, first point of news. It's been a couple of weeks, so lots to say. Last show was on Monday the 12th. On Wednesday the 14th, I got a text message from the owner of O'Leary's, home of Uptown Comedy Deluxe. I've been doing some soul searching and have determined that the $200 guarantee is not working for the pub. I am aware that a number of the venues are on a pay-what-you-can-afford basis. I can fully understand your desire not to go that way. Your thoughts? Which, first off, text message, you have my phone number if you texted me. The owner of the R Bar had the decency to give me a call before giving me the boot, but I don't know. Can't say the decision was a huge surprise. Attendance has been up and down. I've been bemoaning it for a little while now on the radio show. Not really a good venue for comedy, and the bar did nothing to help the show and plenty to hurt it. I sent a big long email back, which I'm not going to reiterate. I'll give you the greatest hits. I basically told them, I'm aware of the situation with some of the other venues around town, but just because they're not paying doesn't mean they shouldn't be. They're taking advantage of people that are just happy to have a stage, and pay what you can doesn't really work when the bar's charging a $7 cover at the door. I told them comedians should be paid the same as musicians and bar staff and everybody else that adds whatever little piece to making you money. And the difference is the comedians are pretty much 100% responsible for all the promotion for the show, which is not the case for anybody else. The musicians that they bring in are not making their own posters. They're not making their own Facebook events. They're certainly not paying money for Facebook ads out of what they get paid from the bar. And if the comedy show's not bringing in enough people, then to make it worth your while, then that's your decision. But attendance has been up and down. I think the good nights have balanced out the bad nights, and it's probably not hard to make $200 on cover charges and drinks. I've seen Fedora Guitar Boy downstairs playing to fewer people than we had at the show upstairs, and those people didn't come to see him play. They came to have conversations with their friends, who's kind of being interrupted by this guy yelling cover songs in their ears. I always felt that the bar could have done more to help promote the show. They have a lot more resources and marketing experience than I do. I've suggested just throwing an extra couple of words mentioning the comedy show on the radio ads they're already paying for. I asked if I could put some kind of a decal or a sign in the window. Nope. And it's hard to build an audience when the show's constantly competing with literally anything else that they'd rather have going on there. There's loud music coming from downstairs, sometimes live, most of the time just have the PA cranked downstairs. Not as much of an issue when we were in the upper part, but we got downgraded by the beer pong tables that nobody even uses anymore, so we're right by the door where all the loud drunk people are coming in. And not even if we could muster up an audience, it's that much less likely that they're going to come back if they've got to deal with a bad show. bad because of the circumstances, not necessarily the content. Not that every show was a banger, but even the good ones were a distraction, and it's not fun for the comedians to do the show either when they've got to yell over top of shitty Celtic music playing over the PA. So I had a hard time booking it, but being able to pay everybody $20 to $40 each to cover their efforts and gas money if they're coming out of town was a small upside to the whole thing. So I just said, it sounds like he was trying to push me towards just if I want to do it, he's not paying for it. But, I was this close to walking away even with the money. So I said, if you want me to put on the same show under the same conditions with the same lack of promotion from the bar, but for free, then not interested. If you want to compromise, then I'm open to negotiation. Whatever happens, thanks for the opportunity over the past few years. And no response, and not surprised. Good riddance, to be honest. I was pretty close to walking away anyway. This made the decision for me. So that's that. Next Uptown Comedy Deluxe will be at Taco Pica, where they reach out to me and ask me to put on a show. So, next point of order. Cigarettes and Cool Ranch at the Fundy Fringe Festival. 5 nights, 1 hour of John Forward action last week. Worked really hard on it. I'm proud of it, and I'm glad I had the opportunity to do it. 60 people came to see me over 5 nights. Not great. If that was one show, that would be kind of impressive, but that's less than half what I got last time when I did Honey Garlic. And not that it's all about money, but I made about 1/5 of the profit that I did last time, and not entirely sure why. I think I had the best poster. I handed out flyers. I had a really good preview on the big tease last Monday. Lots of laughs in the room, lots of interest. It was a different kind of show, though. Honey Garlic, I was still doing my comedy act for the most part, but I was making more of an effort to fit into the one-man show mold, which I think is a better fit for the Fringe. I think it helped last time that Grid City magazine online gave me like the number 2 spot on their top 5 most anticipated shows when they put out their article after the big tease last time. This year, nope. Had a good showing, didn't make the list, which is fine, but it's a hit. That Grid City magazine seems to be the official media outlet covering the Fringe, and that recommendation was a good bump. And the reviews that they were putting up every day throughout the festival would also have been a good bump. They were at my Honey Garlic show, but didn't bother writing it up or posting anything online last time, which was a bit of a kick in the pants. But they didn't even come this time. And looked at the website on Facebook, and they reviewed every single show on the Fringe except for mine and Mark Splood's Grow Up show. And there was also some other one that only ran for 2 nights, but everything else got a review online except for the stupid comedy shows in the corner. And one show actually got 2 separate reviews from different people. And a coincidence that nobody wanted to touch the stand-up shows? Not sure, and I'm not looking for critical praise, but that helps fill seats. And I just find it odd that of all the different art forms on display at the Fringe Festival, we've got like theater and one-man show monologuing and plays and music. Well, like there was a comedy music thing and magic and different things. Like stand-up comedy is probably the most commercially viable big picture category on there, but I've kind of felt like the black sheep of the festival all 4 times that I've done it, and I don't think there's anything malicious going on, but strong vibes that me and my kind aren't welcome. I think the only 2 of the other performers came to see my show. Lots of talk about it, and it's a lottery, so they can't necessarily prevent the shows from being part of the festival. But when I've done the festival 4 years and the director hadn't come to see a single one of my shows on any of those years, it's hard not to take the hint. And like I said, no evidence that there's anything actively malicious going on, but it certainly doesn't help if a contingent of the festival doesn't really want us there. 2 stand-up shows got in, 2 more applied and didn't make the cut on the lottery, and at least one show dropped out, and none of these alternate people were contacted. So are they trying to prevent a comedy takeover after my momentous appearance with Honey Garlic 2 years ago? Who knows? But who cares? Stand-up comedians aren't supposed to play well with others. I don't want to be a critical darling, so I'm fine being on the fringe of the fringe. And I don't know when I'll go back, but I'm not going to let those fancy theater people push me out of their festival. I'd encourage any of you comedians out there, do a show. If you can't do a whole hour by yourself, get together with some other comedians and have a mixed show. Do a short show. You can do a half-hour show at the Fringe, but, pack it out. Do it with some friends. We might have lost the battle for relevance in this city to the cover song Guitar Boys, but we might have a better luck winning over some of these theater audiences. That's more of our wheelhouse, I think. It's not the same thing, but there's some overlap. It's an untapped market. But, still a little bit disappointed that more of my own comedy and non-comedy friends didn't come out. I had small audiences, but they were lovely audiences. 3 out of the 5 of the shows anyway. The other 2, not so much. One of them had like 5 people on Tuesday night at 10 p.m. That one doesn't really count. Thursday had about 15 that I think liked it, but weren't laughing much, which is awkward. But the other 3 shows, they had between 12 and 20 people, but all 3 of them were bangers, and I had a great time doing it. Got the Saturday night show. Well, I taped all of them except for the first Wednesday show was the first banger of the week, and I forgot my camera at home and was kicking myself, worried that was going to be the only proof that I didn't bomb this whole thing. But Thursday was kind of a wash, but Friday and Saturday knocked it out of the park for the handful of people that were there. I put on a good show. They saw a good show. And got Ian Esty, Adam Landry, and James Hovey taped that last one. Don't know what I'm going to do with the video, but I have it to maybe be deployed at a later date. But now is the time to say hello to my guest, Mandy Lynn. Are you not using your last name anymore? You have a new Facebook profile.
I do. I have several. Depends on who I want to be.
Okay.
Depends on the day.
All right, Mandy Lynn, unknown last name, is the guest on the show. Ran into you at the Big T's on Monday. Did not see you the rest of the week. Did you go to the Fringe Festival, or were you just there on preview night?
I was there on preview night, and then I couldn't make it the rest of the week. I had a sick kid. I intended on volunteering with the children, and then I had a spill with my ankle, and I had crutches for a few days, and I was a bit of a peg leg, so it was. Excuses. I know. I got them all. You name it. I brought a bag of them.
Concert hall was wheelchair accessible. Just tie up your kid outside on a leash. But we'll be back to talk to Mandy Lynn a bit more. But first, we got to rise above all this strife.
Let's do it.
It's the danger of being a comedy man.
It's dangerous
in a not comedy town.
Society's all of control. Rise above, we're gonna rise above. Think this smart, can't think themselves. Rise above, we're gonna rise above. Laugh at us behind our back. Rise above, we're gonna rise above. I find out
are back on St. John Forward Radio here with Mandy Lynn, no show upski.
That's right. That's correct. You got her. Thanks for having me tonight, Mr. Forward.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for dressing up. I love your flannel shirt.
Yeah, this is what I wore to work today, and I did not get changed.
Same here. Same diff.
Yeah. Why are you wearing a tutu?
Well, I mean, no one can see that, so am I?
Well, on the break, I'll have to take a picture and put it on Instagram.
Is this a tutu? Is this a unitard? Who knows? Find out on next. No, this isn't our segue.
Check it out on Instagram, everybody.
All right, that's fine.
So, yeah, you were at the preview night. Did you catch my performance? Was it as good as I thought it was? I thought I did well, but it didn't pan out for audience members, though.
Why didn't? Let me ask you this: why didn't you think it panned out for audience members? Am I too loud? Sorry.
No, because I had less than half of the audience that I had last time.
So we had a lighter audience too. Remember, we did that last year, Educated Assholes, and remember we had a lighter audience with it too. I don't know if it would. Do
you know how many total you had? I had about 60 this time total.
I don't know how many I had.
Did you make any money?
A few hundred, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I came ahead $82 this year. Which, good enough. I bought myself Fire Emblem, the 3 Houses for Nintendo Switch.
Thank God, because you would have to go with it that nice. Okay.
Yeah.
And so Big T's was full, though. It was a packed house. Everybody was there. It was good.
Yeah, and I picked out a good selection from the show that wasn't too aggressively offensive, but had enough of an edge to it to let people know what they were in for. And I got big laughs every time I was supposed to, and I was handing out flyers, and lots of people were like, that was really good. I definitely want to check out that show. And then they didn't. I don't know.
Well, let me ask you about this. Starting off, so I just learned this tonight that you've had 4 Fringe performances in. So I knew of 2 because I've met you. I think I met you just before your second, like before your last Fringe performance.
Yeah, so 2 years ago, Honey Garlic.
I remember that.
The year before that,
you didn't matter to me then.
Was with the Hoveland guys. It was the Hoveland musical / stand-up show.
That's right. I met you then. That's when it was. Okay.
And the year before that, I did a No Jokes Barred show. The Hoveland guys hosted it, and Trevor Muxworthy did about 15 minutes, and I did a 30-minute set at the end.
Oh wow! I didn't know that.
That one, yeah. Even I don't know how they did on Hoveland. I didn't see any of that money. Which is fine. But the No Jokes Barred show, like 4 or 5 years ago, whenever that was, that I think I made enough. I think I came ahead. I paid Trevor and the Hoveland guys each $100, and I got 2 for myself, and that was the first run. And that one wasn't super well attended. I probably didn't spend as much on that one, but expense wise. But I don't know. Barely broke even this time.
How do you, off-topic question, how do you make your voice so calm and relaxed? Like, how do you just keep that nice monotone and not, how do you do that?
Heroin.
I thought it was something good. I always sound like I'm falling off a slide when I talk, and you're just so copacetic calm, and well spaced out. I want to tell you 5,000 things, and my mouth doesn't move quick enough.
Well, I'm in kind of a weird melancholy state of mind. I feel I'm a little bit burned out from, I've been working so hard on this show over the past few months, and it's just kind of consumed my entire mind space. And now that it's over, I'm just I'm just a husk.
And so you said you're off until September the 6th.
Yeah. I don't think I have anything lined up until then. Might have to go up to Fredericton to do some job interviews. Might try to time that out with Wils's Room or the Abbey or something. Maybe get in there.
As you should. Nice. Yeah. Good.
Go while work's paying for the gas money.
That's fine. As one should. We'll come along with you. And so were you on a little bit of break from your show as well, from your radio show? Or? No, just last week. It would have been during the Big T's, so I re-released my Honey Garlic set from 2 years ago with a 90-second brand new intro. I heard it. And so you started your show. So you started your show back. How long ago have you been doing this show now? Your radio show?
show?
Yeah. Here on Local 107.3 FM, your favorite community radio station.
I think it'll be 3 years in like November.
Already? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And every week, there's only been 2 or 3 times where there's been a repeat go on. I think I've been on every week pretty consistently.
And what is your favorite show so far other than when I come visit? What is your best show and your worst show?
Worst show, I'm going to say probably the first time that Matt Keenan came on. It was not very... Sometimes when we both have kind of low energy, it sucks the energy out of the show. And we didn't have a good rapport. We didn't really know each other that well.
So it's basically like a crappy Tinder date.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Best show? I'm not sure, to be honest.
Wait, would you swipe left or right for him?
For Matt Keenan?
Yeah.
To have sex with him?
Yeah.
I'm not a homosexual, so that's a lot. Or wait, which one's the yes? Left?
I'm not telling. I just want your answer.
I'm going to say... I think left is the no.
Okay, that's fine. Good to know. All right, finish.
I never really thought about what my favorite one was, but I remember... And this is a deep cut. I think the first time Ian Esty came on, to be honest, which that's the answer that nobody was expecting. The Ian Esty episode. It was right when I was in the thick of hot peak drama with my JDI job, and I was basically told, you've got 6 weeks to either go back to working nights and weekends garbage shift,
right, or
you can quit. And I had said, I'm not doing either of those things. So I was in the middle of a good game of chicken. And Ian came on, and he's got more experience with the kind of sleazy corporate pushing people out the door situation. And we had a nice business chat about that. So I remember enjoying that episode. Most of this show has been... just talking about local comedy, politics type stuff, and what shows and who's going on and who's getting in fights with who, which I enjoy. But I really appreciate it when somebody comes in and I've got something other than that to talk about. So it was nice to have a break and talk business for a while.
And so what's your what is your show's mandate? So everybody has a reason for their show. Every programmer has a reason, or a DJ. What is your reason for your show? What do you want people to know or to take away from the John Forward show?
John Forward. That's the main thing. I feel like this is a better avenue for getting to know me as a person, more like the stand-up version of me is a version of me.
Absolutely.
And,
totally different version of you.
It's not totally different. That's still me, but it's a very specific...
Okay, at the gym, you never play with me at the gym. You never run outside and la 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 la. Okay, I might be the only person that does that weird stuff. Okay, yes. Go ahead. Finish.
But
sorry.
I feel like since I don't know, I feel like this is the more genuine John Forward that people are hearing here. And I know a lot of the podcasts that I listen to them and they're entertaining in their own right. But a big draw for me is that I feel like I'm getting to know these people and kind of making a more human connection with them. So when I see... Like, I've been listening to Mark Maron for probably a decade now, and I feel like I've never met that guy, but I feel like I know him. I find out all his cats that he's gotten and died and lost, and girlfriends come and gone and moved, and all of this whole trajectory of how his career was in the gutter at the beginning of the podcast, and he's more successful now than ever through various things. Like, I feel like I know that guy, so I feel like when I listen to his comedy, I connect more with it. And I'm hoping that's, I'm not doing a great job at it based on my turnouts, but I'd like to develop a fan base of people that know who I am, and so that they'll come out and see me live. And when they do come out and see me live, there's a bit of a shorthand. I don't need to work as hard to do the kind of this is who I am type jokes. well, all of my jokes are that, but for the most part, like I feel like when people already know me, they're kind of are a little bit more on board, and I don't need to win them over as much.
No, that makes sense. That's good to know. I was thinking about that because I know, everyone kind of has their own mission, their own reason for things. And I guess I was like, I wonder what his is.
Yeah. Well, and even the Fringe Festival has me thinking about that. Like I'm confident in my abilities as a comedian for people that are on board with how I do it. Mm-hmm. I'm not good at winning over just rando whoever the hell shows up. I'm like people that already like what I do. I can crush it. I'm not as good at winning over kind of a whoever.
So you're not a meet the parents type of guy, but no, you get along with your parent-in-laws. Yeah.
Well, there's only one of them's dead, but
that just got really dark. Move along.
But yeah, no, like the 3 good shows that I had this week. I don't think they were all like John Forward super fans, but each of them had a handful of people that are either friends of mine or have been out to see me regularly. And I think even having a handful of people in the room that are already on board to kind of seed the laughter, because I'm pretty... I wouldn't call what I do broad humor, so it's I don't know, it's not slap you in the face funny. It's more of a cerebral. I'm getting so pretentious right now.
Could you use smaller words, please? I'm not sure who's listening, but you're breaking out a lot of really. Can you just tuck your English degrees away and just break it down to my level, please?
Yeah. Well,
layman terms.
People need to kind of start out on board. I think more so to enjoy me than some goofy broad who comes out and makes a lot of noise and has a funny outfit on.
I have a name. Okay, I have a name.
Mandy Lynn something.
Mm-hmm. Something. We don't know it. Mm-hmm. No, that makes sense.
It's a different thing. Even amongst our local comedians, I think I do a different thing than most other people do.
That's fine.
And it's not for everybody. Ideally, perfect world. I'm kind of drawn between the 2 ways of thinking about it, where some people would say if you're going to be a successful comedian and joke teller, you should be able to walk into any room and make people laugh, which that would be a fine skill to have. I feel like I would have to sacrifice something of kind of who I am to appeal to that broad of an audience, I think. But the other school of thought would be, like, my favorite is Doug Stanhope. He's not going up on a mixed show at the comedy club and playing for whoever. He has a fan base, and he tours around, and he plays to his people, and he does very well at it. Don't have a fan base, so I don't have that luxury. That's where I'd like to be, but it might require a bit of minor selling out in the meantime to build up that audience, and then once I'm established, then maybe I can get into what I want to do. But I've always just done it my way, and hopefully people that like it will find me. But it's not as quick if you're just yelling at people and giving them the finger and saying F this and F that.
Again, I'm so sorry. I did not know that was your nephew's birthday.
Fair enough.
But you just really, honestly, you just touched on a really good point. Comedy, we're all fighting right now to have comedy recognized as an art form. And, when you talk a little bit about becoming that person or being a sellout or anything like that, it makes me think about it. I always reflect back. So if I had a good performance, if I had a bad performance or a great performance, we think about all of our performances sometimes, or we do like some recollecting on things and, what could I have done better this time? What could I have changed this time? What could I have done? But then it's you developing yourself the same way, how you're developing your joke, how you're developing your speaking, we're developing ourselves all the time, every day when we leave, whether we know it or not. But then we're also our own biggest critics ever. We're always hating on ourselves for thinking that, we didn't do something good enough, instead of recognizing the what we have done or what we have accomplished, or the noise that we have made around with the things that we've done. And when you think back to, little itty bitty John Ford with the milk mustache, still you have milk on your mustache, right? But it's disgusting. But
it's not milk.
I'm so sorry. But when we think back to think about developing ourselves, or when we think about comedy as an art form, we need to remember that comedy's an art, singing's an art. When you look at singers and musicians that are out there, when you look at public speakers, when you look at people that are writing book, anybody in the entertainment business, whether you, and it's always my favorite, talking to people from every kind of circle in the entertainment business, in the politics business, learning about why they do, what they don't like, what they think they can do better, because every single area, they have their own personal mandate as well. And hearing people talk about what they want, or what they want to be doing better at, or what they're aspiring to do better at, but then you're still hearing them saying, and I want to do this, or I could do this better, or there's blah, 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 but. And I always say to people, don't tell me the beginning of what you're about to say to me. Just give me the but on. I only want to hear from but on. But
with comedy, it's hard because by necessity, there's a bit of commerce mixed into it, which uglies up the whole thing. Mm-hmm. Any other art form, you can do your art exactly how you like it at home by yourself. You can just create a thing and put it out there.
That's right.
And it'll be just as good whether 5 people look at it or listen to it as if 5 billion people look at it or listen to it. Comedy, though, I can't just sit at home and write a comedy set and be like, that's my perfect baby. It requires audiences, which requires a place and people need to come to, and it requires, to a certain extent, we're always fighting with being artists, which many of the comedians would scoff at the idea of calling it an art form. I don't mind calling it. That's how I approach it. Mm-hmm. And but you can't be a full artist if you want people to come to your show. You've got to some extent, you have to be a dancing monkey beer seller also, which cheapens the whole thing. And I hope that stuff like the Fringe Festival is not about selling beer. It is about the art form, but didn't pan out. I don't know. It's a weird needle to thread, because I guess the analogy I just thought of is I'm a fan, like comedy and theater and any live performance is sort of a big general category in the same way that whiskey is a category. I like bourbon. I would rather have the worst bourbon than the best scotch most of the time. And it's the same thing, good. Like these theater people would rather see an awful play than see a great stand-up comedy show. They're still the same general category, but different tastes. Yeah, but this is a disappointing thing. I think there are people out there that have a taste for it that I don't know. I don't know if they aren't giving it a chance, or if they try and they come out and it's a garbage, noisy, interruption-filled show like O'Leary's and they don't come back, or they go to a show and see like one person who sucks and be like, oh, that's local comedy for you. I don't know. People are fickle.
Fickle. Just so everyone knows that's listening, he has a jar and he's pulling out random names of different words. So fickle was the word of the minute.
All right.
So
we got to play a station ID.
Okay.
Let's take a quick station ID and a song, and then we'll
you need to use
back.
a bathroom again? Now
that you mention it.
Station ID. Station ID. Station ID. Station Station. I'm Adam Landry. Station. St. John's. I'm in the top 3 of comedians, okay? And I've been on Station ID.
It's called St. John Forward Radio.
St. John Forward Radio on this channel.
Local 107.3 FM.
Station ID.
Local 107.3 FM and
Station ID.
Local 107.3 FM.
Station ID.
What went down, this is all I say. I'm causing commotion in an old-fashioned way. I've asked for the night and the liquor's true. And I'm a death trap, kamikaze coming for you. Well, sit beside, boy, yeah, this don't concern you. I'm a simple little man, get a devil his due. I've asked for the night all the way to the moon. And I can tell you the time we got enough to get through. Cold with the night sweat, sleeping outside. I'm cold with the night sweat. I'm cold with the night sweat, sleeping outside. I'm cold with the night sweat. I'm cold with the night sweat, sleeping outside. I'm cold with the night sweat. I'm cold with the night sweat, sleeping outside. I'm cold with the night sweat. It's a ride in the shotgun cruise in the drop top camouflage coupe de ville. I met little Sally with the blue and yellow pill. Says she knows a man in a broken alleyway, and he's got what I want just to follow this away. 16 suits and one top hat, but he knows this city like the back of his head. Cool with the night sweat, sleeping outside. I'm cool with the night sweat. I'm cool with the night sweat, sleeping outside. I'm cool with the night sweat. I'm cool with the night sweat, sleeping outside. I'm cool with the night sweat. I'm cool with the night sweat, sleeping outside. I'm cool with the night sweat. Sleeping inside, I'm cold with the night sweat, sleeping outside. 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 Cold with the night sweat, sleeping outside. I'm cold with the night sweat. I'm cold with the night sweat, sleeping outside. I'm cold with the night sweat. I'm cold with the night sweat, sleeping outside. I'm cold with the night sweat. I'm cold with the night sweat, sleeping outside. I'm cold with the night sweat.
Hi, I'm Jingle Jangle.
And I'm a pile of corks. Listen to Shift Register. But why?
Sentient trombone.
Architecture.
Coins.
Existential despair? So, listen to Shift Register at 10 p.m. on Thursday for all this and more.
Or less.
Back on St. John Forward Radio, here with Mandy Lynn, who dabbled in many things, comedy, music. She has a radio show that I believe you said is coming back.
Yep.
Tuning in with Mandy Lynn here on local FM. You did a TED Talk. You've done all sorts of stuff. Do you feel like
I dabbled in your living room also?
Do you feel like you get more? It's easier to get opportunities doing non-comedy stuff than the comedy. Do you feel like a comedy pariah also?
Yeah, I do. I think that I kind of say yes to everything. I like to try. I like to just try everything. So whether it's, but I'm very much kind of still community community oriented. That's where I've kind of found my passion, and I've shared this with you privately before, and people that know me well know that that's my drive, from being on the other side of things to try to overcome everything and to try to see if I can make a difference in our community, whether it's very, very small or anything that I can do at all. That's something that I feel like it's super duper important, especially at times like this right now, where where any kind of help is needed. I feel like now that I've completed university, I feel like I have a voice now, and I'm still trying to kind of figure out how to use it. So I feel like I've been given the tools that I need to understand what I didn't understand or might have been oblivious to before. And I'm at a point right now for the past 5 or 6 months where I'm trying to kind of be more self-exploratory and say, what am I going to do with that now that I've developed these skills, now that I have a stronger understanding in my community, everything that's going on, what can I do with what I have? And that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah, and I find that I think you should be doing more comedy than you are.
Mm-hmm.
You should still pop up and do No Jokes Barred every now and then. You don't need to wait for some...
When's the next one? I'm there.
September 14th.
I'll be there.
All right, I think I got room.
Mm-hmm. If not, I'll do it from the parking lot.
Yeah, we should do one in the O'Leary's parking lot, maybe.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I was waiting for. I'm disappointed. I thought that's how you make all your exits.
But, I've talked a lot on this show over the last little while about there's... people talk a lot about the scene is in kind of a lull, and a part of that is because
you can't use a lull. The people that are listening right now, they're having their McDonald's in their car, and you're breaking out the word a lull.
It's a poo-poo bad time.
Thank you. It's fine. People just want their cheeseburger and understand what you're saying.
People don't have the drive, and they're not getting out and getting the stage time. You're doing a million different things, so I understand it. But still, if you're going to do, like, the way I see it, you get booked on like private stuff, or like you put together that Reversing Falls show that we did in the winter. I feel like for me, I want to get my practice out of the way at the open mics before I throw out my stuff to somebody who's paying for it. And everybody to each his own, but that's the way that I see it, and I think it's irresponsible for people that only do like the big payday ones without getting the practice in, I guess, because I feel like, and that's what I wanted Uptown Comedy Deluxe to be. It has slipped from its former glory. I didn't want it to be just another open mic.
What a great porn name. Can I just intervene? Former glory?
Yes.
Anyone listening? Go ahead.
I wanted it to be like you slug it out in the trenches at the open mics, and you hone your craft and you practice, you throw stuff against the wall, and you fail and you fail and you fail, and you figure out what works, and you keep that stuff and throw the rest away, keep adding on until you've got enough good stuff for a solid 15-minute set. And then I wanted O'Leary's to be a place where that's your time to shine now. Here's the thing that I've been working on, which is what I try to do at the Fringe Festival too. But you, I think, not all of the comedians are a fan of what you do.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate it. It's not necessarily for me.
Mm-hmm.
If we didn't know each other,
mm-hmm.
I wouldn't sit down and listen to a Mandy Lynn album
mm-hmm.
necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
But you have a unique... You're just a unique person, and you're starting out the gate. You've got you're kind of the opposite of me,
mm-hmm.
where when you walk out on stage, people are like, hey, they perk up and they're like, what's up with this? And
mm-hmm.
you've got kind of an automatic engagement.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the lack of practice,
mm-hmm.
I would say, I don't want you to take offense to this, but
mm-hmm.
you can kind of coast on your charm
mm-hmm.
without having done it enough to really build up the actual content.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like me, I'm just a black hole of charisma, and I've got to win people over just with the words. It's
mm-hmm.
kind of the opposite thing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if I wrote and you delivered my material, then we'd be unstoppable. But
well, I'm actually, and I tell everybody this now. I get when I talk to people out is what got me started. I remember when I first, people would always tell me, you're funny, you're weird, there's something different about you. I've always been different. I've never been the same as anybody else.
And that's the hardest part, and it's a huge asset.
And then I would tell you this, whether it was on your show or anybody else's show, and I've said this to several people in several different media outlets and several different venues, that I'm a big fan of yours, regardless of anything, always, forever. I'm forever a fan of yours for a few different reasons. And I'm not just saying this to toot your horn. I'm saying this for a few reasons. My first reason is the very first time that I wanted to try comedy, that I was very, very much wanting to do it and I didn't know how to do it. You took me under your wing. You gave me my first booking, my second, my third. You gave me advice along the way. And then you basically were one of the people that helped me realize that this is what I want to do. But then, I enjoy thoroughly doing public speaking events. I enjoy thoroughly doing events where I am able to make a difference, or where I'm able to, and it doesn't matter the audience that you need to engage, from womb to tomb, it doesn't matter. But, and then if you think about that aspect of it, but then also the getting everybody, I hear your pain in what you're saying and in the things that you're saying, because I know that you've spent years and years trying to help build the comedy scene. You've tried so many different things as well, which is awesome. You're still very much engaged trying different things, and it's exhausting. It's a lot of work. Anybody that is in the industry, anybody that is doing these things, they know that it's, get promoting for a show or getting people out to come to a show, but then the energy you're putting into making posters, to doing blogs, to doing all those sort of things, all those different kind of faucets to kind of generate a buzz, to be able to get people to understand, to be able to do to be able to bring artists, to be able to bring entertainers, to be able to bring comedians, in particular for you to be able to bring comedians and start them. And if you think back, you've helped jumpstart a lot of people. You've given stage time to a lot of new people starting out.
And I'm happy to do that. I'm not going to pretend like there's no
you've made
selfish
a difference,
ego to it.
But you've made a difference. So whether you feel drawn out or tired, and you are going to get tired, and it is it's frustrating when as much work as I put into it, I'm not being met halfway a lot of the time. But I am trying to build something up, and there is a selfish aspect to that, because if we had a really thriving comedy scene, that would be good for me as a comedian too. But like you said, you want to build up a community. I'm not in it just for myself, and the selfish pieces of it that I do, I try to steer my selfishness into stuff that benefits me, but also other people. You're very community oriented as well, also.
Starting O'Leary's and having those longer set times, that's for number one point of action. John Forward gets to ramble for a bit longer, but also I know that I like the opportunity, so I want to share that opportunity with other people. And I headlined that show more than I wanted to. Just because there isn't that many people that I'd be comfortable that would do a 30-minute set. There's not many people that would even try. But the more people that get good, and whether if I can help them along the way, then that's great. Then there's more good comedians at the local shows, which makes the shows better, which makes more audiences come out, which encourages more people to try comedy, and just makes the shows better and better, which I have better shows that I can have more fun performing on too, is part of it. But I'm certainly happy to bring other people with me if they're willing to put the work in.
Of course.
And but I'm
except Ken Bolton, he left us. He moved away. Traitor.
I don't have any control over what anybody else did. So really all I can do is I can do stuff like the Fringe Festival, and, only 60 people saw my show, but maybe some of
That's
those...
still 60 people that saw your show.
If 20 of those people maybe recognize my name next time they see it on a poster and come out to a No Jokes Barred show, then that's great. And that makes a better show for everybody. And
you were a one-man show and 60 people came to see you.
Yeah.
Think about that. That's...
do an hour with no alcohol.
Right? They came to see... that's still pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm trying to have perspective. I'm happy that I did it, and I don't regret it. It's just, it's not as big of a success as I had hoped it would be. And it's... it feels, it's not great feeling like the last kid to get picked for the sports team.
Hey, I'm always the last person to get picked for the dance, and it's usually the teacher or the usher. Like, okay, come on. There's nothing wrong with that, but I mean, I think that, you should definitely give yourself some more kudos for that when you think about, if you think about what have I done, and you're very much community oriented as well. Every single time when I can't think of a time when I've said, hey, got this community event coming up, got this show coming up, you want to be on board? You're like, yep, let me check my schedule. And you're always going to be there. I know that you're very, 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 very community oriented as well, whether you want people to know it or not.
I haven't been as good as I could have been as far as...
That's fine. I need groceries.
Encouraging people. I'm trying to do better lately. There's a few eager people that are willing to put the work in, and I would love to encourage those people to keep at it. And even I don't have the luxury of the Deluxe Showcase show.
Can you let people know it's not a Deluxe French fries? I wish it was.
Free fish and chips for
your
show.
Deluxe French fries. Woo!
But I've always I care more about somebody that has a good attitude about it than I'm more interested in potential. I would rather have somebody who's not good yet but is trying really hard and is eager to get better than somebody that started out pretty good and then just stayed pretty good forever and didn't change a thing.
That's a good philosophy, though.
And,
I think so.
Even if pretty good is better than the eager guy that sucks, or girl, I'd rather the eager one that's still on the way up than the plateau, no matter how high that plateau might be.
I don't think it's too high, but it's kind of... Oh, okay, no, okay.
Yeah, and I don't know. There's it's kind of cooled, but there's always the raging debate behind the scenes about doing new material or trotting out your old stuff, which that's how comedy works. You work on your bits and you make them better and better and better. It's kind of never done. The pros, they throw that stuff away when it's on Netflix and 1 million people have already seen it. But there's no professional comedian that Louis C.K. has never done. Okay, we talk about that
right now. So anyone listening right now, this guy here has seen Louis C.K.
I have.
Talk about that immediately, because I am sick and rage jealous.
Well, you can go back and listen to the New York Chronicles episode 2, I believe, in the feed. But yeah, Louis C.K.'s never done a bit 3 times. I'm like, all right, that's done. It's perfect. Moving on. By the time you see a Netflix show that's been on, they've been touring that hundreds and hundreds of times. But even some of the stuff that was in Cigarettes and Cool Ranch, 2 pieces of that, which would probably be 12 minutes total, are some of the first 4 things that I wrote when I started doing comedy.
Great name, by the way.
But they're not the same as they were 7 years ago when I wrote them. Every time I do that set, I'm fixing it and adding stuff and cutting out extraneous stuff. And
extraneous, huh?
Okay. This is the big word show.
When I have to go to the bathroom, it's extraneous on my bowels.
You have to bring me a thesaurus next time.
That's
fine. But even the old stuff that I did on my show last week is the best it's ever been. And and there's other people that talk a big game about stuff, and then I see them kind of being hypocrites, and they trot out the same old stuff, and it's in the exact same words as it was when I saw it 3 years ago, and not an ounce of it has changed in the least. That's a different thing.
Okay, well then let me ask you this. Did Louis C.K. mention my name?
He did not.
Okay, did he sweat on you? What was he wearing? I would have fangirled so bad.
I don't remember what I'm picturing him in the classic jeans and black T-shirt, but that's just kind of the ingrained image. I'm not sure.
Was it funny? How long was the set?
It's hard to tell because it was just kind of a moment and I was caught up in it. I think it was about 20 minutes, and it was like the funniest live comedy experience that I've ever had in my life.
Because he's like your top guy, isn't he?
Doug Stanhope's my top, but Louis C.K.'s up there. And I was, I'd heard people say I didn't listen to the leaked set because I felt like that was unethical. That wasn't put out there for me to listen to. It was leaked. And I've heard people say like that leaked set was like the best stuff he's ever done. And I was like, yeah, right. That's like his third time on stage since he took a break for 8 months. How could that possibly be better than the stuff that he's honed to perfection? But and there is a difference seeing it live than seeing it on Netflix. But those 20 minutes that I saw in New York in June at Skankfest was some of the best 20 minutes of comedy that I'd.
And is it true he signed your ankle?
No.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Must have been a rumor.
But that was, and
sick jealous.
I want to. I'm not anywhere close to that level, but I want to create that experience for somebody somewhere. I want them to go back and be like, and say, wow, that was not just an involuntary, oh, he said a thing and now I'm laughing. Like, that's cheap. That's a part of what we do, but I don't want it to be the only part.
Sure.
I want to hit them on the gut level. Mm-hmm. What do you got coming up, Mandy Lynn? We're wrapping up.
Are we wrapping up? How many more minutes we got?
We've got about 2 minutes left.
What do I got coming up?
Your show's coming back. When's it start? When's it on?
Yeah, I plan on starting back in the next 2 weeks for my show, and I got a lot of great guests lined up already. With we got creep catchers coming on, all our local politicians coming on. Mm-hmm. We got a few musicians that are going to come on, and comedians and stuff like that, and yourself too, and everyone. So that'll be the thing. And the only thing I've been debating on is changing my name, because I don't know if I want to be tuning in with Mandy Lynn anymore, if I want to change it to Mandy's Mandy or something like that. But then
you've already got the name recognition. Tuning in with Mandy
true
Lynn's
this is name. This is true. But I might want to revamp it up a little bit, have something a bit more to it. So that'll be in a few weeks. And then also just the same thing, doing lots of children events, public events, speaking engagements, things like that, comedy, anything that I can. I'm an asshole. So
all right. So Uptown Comedy Deluxe at Taco Pica, September 6th. Chris Trotter, myself, Evan Steves, Brian Otter. And then No Jokes Barred regular at McGill's on the 14th. It's a month. It's a week early this month.
Come on down to McGill's. I thought I'd be here. Okay.
All right. No, thank you, Mandy Lynn. This might be one of my new favorite episodes.
You're my new favorite episode.
All right. That's it for this week.
Okay. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for not calling the police.
Not yet.
Okay.